Welcome to My Vertical Obsession. I am your host, Megan, and today we are talking about my taboo crush on my stepbrother. So this synopsis for the series is rebellious heir Aiden and spirited Vivian become step-siblings. From rivalry to passionate entanglement, they navigate forbidden love amid family tragedy, societal pressure, and school bullying. Aiden is played by Armand, and Vivian is played by Rachelle, and Chloe is played by Frankie. So when it comes to this series, while I was watching it, I was getting the sense that the story comes off as two lost souls who kind of find each other, but they just can't act on it. Both have been abandoned by their parents and lost another. Aiden had lost his mom, and his dad was always busy doing something else, whereas Vivian had lost her dad, and her mom was too busy marrying someone rich. She never really kind of cared about Vivian unless it helped her. And Vivian and Aiden end up kind of protecting each other, which ended up helping them grow a lot closer together and kind of know each other. And they knew that this was wrong because they were step siblings, and they knew that it shouldn't happen and they shouldn't be together. But they were also in this whole sense of how can you abandon the one person that sees the real you? And it wasn't about them being step siblings, but about them being the one person who cared and fought for them. Vivian fought for Aiden against his father. While his father believed that Aiden was nothing but trouble, Vivian was always fighting to show Aiden's father that Aiden was good, that there was good in Aiden, and he should believe and see this. And Aiden fought to protect Vivian from her mom and Chloe's bullying, and one of the other classmates whose name was Ryan, who was kind of a pervert. So he was doing his best to protect Vivian from all three of them. He also didn't want to let Vivian's mom treat her like trash or kick her out, just like he wasn't about to let Chloe bully her or kick her down. He just wanted to protect her. And also, when it came to Ryan, he kept trying to tell her that Ryan was up to no good, but she didn't want to believe it. But he still managed to protect her from him because that's who he was. That's the person he wanted to be. And then Vivian, in turn, tried to protect Aiden from Ryan because Aiden knew their secret of them kind of being closer than they should have been as step siblings. So she decided to try and protect Aiden and their secrets from fully exploding. But I mean, they were able to stop Ryan and Chloe and Vivian's mom so that they weren't constantly causing issues anymore. And after appealing to Aiden's dad and the fact that Aiden's dad ended up divorcing Vivian's mom, they were able to get together and be together. So that's kind of a little bit of what I kind of saw the series as. I also, for this one, kind of like went into like a little detailed idea of both Aiden and Vivian to kind of break down their characters a little bit. So when it came to Aiden, when we first meet him, he's hooking up with the tutor slash piano teacher. I think he was a piano tutor, actually. And he seemed like he was doing this as a way to get his dad's attention, in a sense, because the tutor had actually said if Aiden's father found out she was there and they were hooking up, that Aiden's father would be angry. And Aiden said, maybe that's what I want. So you kind of get the sense that, yeah, he was kind of doing this to try and get his dad's attention because his dad was so distant and pulling away and only believed the worst in Aiden, which this whole acting out kind of ended up backfiring on Aiden in a sense. Because when Vivian comes into the picture and she ends up getting bullied by Chloe, Aiden goes and tries to help Vivian, but he ends up getting in trouble with his dad, who is the headmaster at their school, because Aiden had tripped someone to kind of keep Chloe away from Vivian, but his dad was like, well, you could have hurt someone and you really shouldn't be acting out. If this continues, we're going to have to send you to boarding school. And it's just like, but he's trying to help and protect his stepsister. Wouldn't you be happy about that? So it's a little sense of Aiden's dad only really saw him as a troublemaker. and as someone who would cause trouble. And it was also that his dad was never around, especially after he lost his wife and Aiden lost his mom. So he never really was part of Aiden growing up. And that was one of the things that Aiden actually ends up telling Vivian, is that he was never taught to be a good person, but he still stood up and protected Vivian when she needed it. He had this whole bad boy image, and I saw it more of a shield for him, basically because the two people who loved him either died or just left him alone. So he had to kind of shield himself from being hurt again, is how I envisioned Aiden's character. His mom died, and his dad became preoccupied and focused on his work and marrying someone else. So Aiden never had that good role model growing up, and he never had that person who truly cared or protected him. So he put up this wall and this shield to kind of keep people at arm's length so that way he could never be hurt again. And that's the version of the character I see Aiden being in this. And that's how I kind of pictured the character, or at least how the character kind of came across for me. And when it came to Vivian, she lost her dad and now has to live with her mother, who she really doesn't seem to care for Vivian. It also kind of got the sense that she never really lived with her mother, and she just lived with her dad, so they weren't close. They hadn't been close in years, and that she was just kind of doing this because she was obligated to. I feel like the mother was obligated to, because the mother gave this whole, she didn't want anything to ruin her comfy life, ruin the chance of her being from money and being rich. So she really didn't care for Vivian, and Vivian was always a problem, especially if Vivian could possibly destroy everything her mother built. But Vivian, on the other hand, she's now without her dad. She's in a new place. She's at a new school. It's like, if she had friends, she doesn't have them at this new school. And she's now thrown into this new family. But I mean, on the plus side, Aiden's dad did seem to like her. He just was not very paternal about it. It was just more of a, oh, you're nice, great, you're my wife's daughter, I'll be nice to you type of thing. But it wasn't like a, oh, well, now we're a great happy family and, I'm gonna be your dad now. It wasn't like that at all. And for Vivian, all she wanted to really do was keep her head down, finish out school, and finally get to college. That was one of the things she wanted. And one of the things that I did notice, or I kind of get the sense from, is that she did wish she could have her mother's love and her mother to listen to her, but she just never did. Nothing was ever good enough. And her mother was very big about, do not talk to or have anything to do with Aiden. He's a troublemaker. He's no good. And she laid that on right away. And it's just like, you could tell that she was not a fan of Aiden either at all. She just wanted Aiden's dad and wanted his money. Mostly just wanted his money. And then you have Aiden, who wasn't really nice to her to start with, and I could kind of get and understand why that is because his dad married someone who was 100% a gold digger. She now is bringing in her daughter, who he's probably thinking, oh, she's just as much of a gold digger as her mother. She's no good. I want to try and get rid of her as soon as possible, only to realize that she's nothing like her mother. And to respond to that whole, he changes his tune and is helpful to her and trying to be better and nicer to her. She fights for him with his dad. And she even dates Ryan after everything he did to try and protect Aiden and their secret, because he was the person that supported her, who fought for her, who cared about her, who was there when she needed someone. So she was trying to look out for him and help him the same way he was helping her. And this is one of the ways that she knew, was to fight for him with his dad and show his dad that Aiden is not who he thinks he is that he is a good person and he deserves better and to be treated better. And she ends up being the reason why Aiden and his dad kind of stop their fighting and slowly work on their relationship because she was so adamant to his dad about Aiden being a better person than his dad thought. And that was definitely one of the things that I loved, is that she fought for Aiden and proved to him that she wasn't her mother. She wasn't bad. She didn't just want money. She wanted something better. And that's definitely how these two, really found their way to each other, is that they were broken and they just managed to heal each other in ways that they didn't think was possible. And what really kind of made me enjoy this story, because it wasn't just a simple, oh, well, he's sexy and she's cute and this is 100% wrong, but we're still going to do it. There was layers behind each character. And I loved that because it really told for a good story between the two of them. So some of the questions that I had about this story that kind of made me go, were, how did Aiden end up with the vibrator? Ryan's nose was broke, but he had no bruises. Vivian and Aiden were in a shower with the water on, but weren't wet. And speaking of that same shower scene, how did Chloe get the video of it? So, to start off with, how did Aiden end up with the vibrator? Again, so they're having a family dinner, and Aiden's teasing Vivian with her vibrator, and it drops, and it rolls underneath the kitchen table while they're at the family dinner and over by the mother's foot. And of course, the mother doesn't see it, which, how she didn't realize what it was, she's 100% oblivious. But that's a different topic. And before the mother can, look under the table and see it, I forget who it was, but Aiden and Vivian, one of them stood up, distracted, and they left. Cut to the next morning, Vivian goes into Aiden's room, and she ends up finding the vibrator on his bed with him. I think it's underneath his pillow. So she goes and grabs it. How did he get it again? Was it just left underneath the kitchen table? And then when the parents left, he went and grabbed it? And if it had been this whole time, it's like, why didn't the mother notice it when she got up to leave the table? It's like that part kind of confused me a little bit, but I guess you got a little suspend reality with that one. And the next thing was Ryan's face after he broke his nose. So at the dance, after he tried to assault Vivian after drugging her, sorry, remembering how the events went, yeah. Aiden punched Ryan in the nose, and he goes, "You broke my nose," when it's all bloody and all bad. But then the next day or a day later, it's all healed. It looks fine. There's no bruises. And maybe that can happen. But I thought the one thing when it came to a broken nose was bruises underneath the eyes. I thought that was always something that happened when you broke your nose. It may not be like so prominent or so bad, but I thought that was a thing that happened. So for him to not even have any bruises, not even on the nose, mind you, don't you think he would have had like at least a bruise on the nose from where he was punched? That was like, oh wow, he's all healed. That was definitely interesting, but that might have come down to filming wise. One scene might have been shot before the other or something, or they just were like, he's gonna be fine. We don't need to, do that. But again, another suspend reality on that one. And speaking of this dance, Aiden ends up bringing Vivian to the showers to kind of cool her down after being drugged, because I'm assuming it was some sort of aphrodisiac, because that's usually what it is. But he turns on the water, and then they're just kind of standing next to it, and neither one is really getting wet. And then they emerge, and neither is wet at all. So it's like, why put the water on? What was the point of that? And why not actually get wet? That was like a little bit confusing. And I did think, or I thought Vivian had gotten wet when he had turned the water on, but again, she looked completely dry. So it's like, okay then. And again, we go to, how did Chloe get video of that? Because at the end, when she's showing all these videos of the two of them together, Aiden and Vivian to try and be like, oh, look, step siblings are dating and they're doing bad things and we should all poo poo them. There was a video of Vivian and Aiden in the shower. And I'm like, how did you get that? How is that part of this video? Because putting a camera in the showers or in the bathroom is highly illegal. So there is no way that there would be a security camera in the shower or bathroom. So where did that even come from? And I get that it's actually just clips from the series used, but that was one clip that they probably should not have used because there is no way Chloe could have gotten that. No way. So all in all, the story, like I said, was really good. I thought it was a fun story. I really enjoyed it. The chemistry between the two leads was amazing. I really felt it. I really saw the two of them kind of falling in love, the characters, even though, it was step siblings. That is one kind of thing I'm not the biggest fan on storyline wise, is step siblings falling for each other. I mean, I've seen a good amount of stories with step siblings, plus, verticals have a bunch of step siblings. Most of the time, it's just two step siblings who just became step siblings, or they dated prior and then became step siblings, so it kind of isn't as bad as if step siblings who grew up together and fell in love type of story. And I think that's how it kind of works, is when the step siblings are not growing up together, but just meeting or just becoming step siblings. So I think that kind of helps with the story and makes it more okay or logical in a sense. But I'm just not one for step siblings falling in love type stories. But I would recommend this one because it was cute and I did love it. Because, like I said, these two characters, they really gave this sense of vulnerability and hurt, only to find a way to heal together and find that each other was the protection and the person they can rely on from now on. So I really kind of like that aspect of the story and would be why I would recommend it to others to watch, because of that character analysis. And the plot was actually kind of really good. I did enjoy that. It was fun. There was some spicy in it. So if that's your thing, there was a little spicy. If not, the good thing is that you can kind of skip over it because it's usually like 1 or 2 episodes. So it's easy just to like kind of scroll past it if that's not something you want to watch. I sometimes like the spicy, depending on how it is. Always fun to watch because it's also interesting to see how verticals film it and create it within the different series, because when you see it on television, depending on where you're watching it, it's a little bit lighter. First cable, where it's can be a little bit, I won't say raunchy, but spicier, because they can show more, like nudity, a big thing on cable, whereas network, you have to really tone it down. So it's kind of interesting to see at what level they kind of do some of these spicy scenes, whether they're very toned down or a little bit spicier. So it's always interesting to see that. And I will say too, on another note, Armand, love him, love his series, and I will kind of admit that I didn't think he had been doing many, and then I saw the Alpha Daddy Take My Mommy Home, and I was like, oh yeah, he's back. Turns out he had like a couple more, or he's had a bunch. As I looked at his IMDb, he's had a bunch that I just didn't know were out there because I think they were on like different apps that I wasn't following. And I'm kind of mad at myself because I was like, where are his verticals? Because I love his verticals. And I just know like one of the last ones that I saw was My Rival Alpha, and then I hadn't seen anything really since. So I was just like, is he not really doing them anymore? So I'm very glad that I was wrong and I just was not following, which I really need to start doing. And I will do a better job at following those actors that I do like, because clearly they are doing others on different apps and I'm just not realizing it. But also I know like 1 or 2 more just kind of like popped up with him in them between when I watched this and now filming this. Like one's on Good Short, and I forget where the other one is off the top of my head right now, but I will be watching those. at some point. I do have another series that has Armand in it that I will be reviewing as well. Like I said, he's one of those that I do really enjoy. He was also one of the ones that I kind of like first started watching early on. So I'm excited that there are multiple ones with him as the lead that I can go and watch. So as for a rating, I decided to kind of do things a little differently, and I looked up what would be a good way to rate series. So it's based on 7 different characteristics. Those characteristics are character, atmosphere, writing, plot, pacing, intrigue, and likability. And that is how I'm going to start rating all the series that I watch from now on to kind of give it a bit of a more fair rating. I felt like the ones that I had rated before, it wasn't, I won't say fully fair, but it was more based on how I liked it. But I wanted to give it a little bit more fair rating. So that way, if a series has a little bit of a lower rating, it's not just because I'm going, it's terrible. It's more kind of figured out what worked better, and then this is the overall rating. So like for this one, the overall rating is 7 out of 10, and I still really enjoyed this one. It was cute. I love the characters and all that driven, but it just came down to certain things that still didn't fully measure up. So that's why I end up with a 7 out of 10. But I still will recommend it. I will still enjoy it and watch it again, I'm sure. That is not to say anything bad about it. I was just trying to give it a bit of a more fair rating scale. But this has been my taboo crush on my stepbrother. And I know I would absolutely love to hear your thoughts on the series and maybe what some of your favorite parts of the series were. So be sure to kind of like let me know. I'd love to hear from you guys, your thoughts. But this has been my vertical obsession. I am Megan, and until next time.